Great. Well, I get to now fulfill sort of a dream of mine, which is to be a talk show host. So my first question coming up is for Jason. Somebody wrote in and wanted to ask about the role of the concept of humility in your process.
Absolutely.
I'd just love to hear your comment on that.
Sure. I'm going to give you a tool. One of the, I write for Impact Wealth magazine, and also wrote an article for the Family Office magazine recently. I wrote for Forbes quite a bit. I got 1.7 million views. So one article I highly recommend to every single person in this forum, audience, and also co-speakers, The Art of Mentoring the Next Gen and Succession Planning. And you can find that on my LinkedIn posts. I encourage you to connect with me or go to my website, okay? And part of that, I mentioned about the value of starting early, build family culture, invest in human capital, okay, including core skills, and raise next gen right. Don't overspoil them. There are 56-year-old babies out there. And in fact, Wendy Kraft, a good friend of mine, single family office, C-suite leader, and she's pretty well known. She says that in New York City. Welcome vulnerability. Okay, that's what ties into humility. Humility, gratitude, compassion, integrity, a bit of humor. Don't be serious all the time. Okay, I'm very playful with my own kids, with my students, with my adult friends as well. Joke around and start early. Those are part of the core, in addition to what I talked about: resilience, adaptability, or resourcefulness, and determination, tenacity. Those are core within, wrapped around, by other soft skills, and then you have hard skills integrated with that as well. Those are core things. Humility is part of that. Compassion is really humility in action with other people. Love your neighbors, right? Love others. And the other soft skills I like to share is very important, is make sure that the next gen, even leading gen, it doesn't matter whether you're already a billionaire. I mean, I advise billionaires, okay? Doesn't matter where you're already a multi-centimillionaire. We always have certain things to improve on. For example, Jeff Bezos, the second wealthiest person on earth, he said the most important soft skill is really intellectual humility. What does it mean by that? Is that you're humble enough to recognize that you still need to improve and learn all the time, and you don't hesitate to do so. Not get all wrapped up or tied up by impolitely fixed mindset or limiting beliefs or big ego, okay? Big ego is a very negative. Have to really work on that. Especially with the next gen. I tell you, I'm surrounded by bright Gen Zs all the time and millennials. They are very highly intellectual, okay? If they don't like you, they don't want to connect with you. They're very picky with adults. You have to learn how to communicate with them. And that also tests the part of your 4S and 3 EQ you need to work on: critical thinking, strategic thinking, problem-solving skills, a bit of creativity, communication skills, collaboration, teamwork, people, social skills, okay? Yep. And then within communication, one-on-one, listening, self-talk, public speaking, writing, all those are important soft skills wrapped around with your own functional, with your hard skills. Does
excellent.
That answer your question?
No, that's excellent. And it goes to something that I've always thought which is, you never want to, if you're very intent on being the smartest person in the room, who are you going to learn from? That's something my dad always told me. Exactly. Well, that's great, Jason. Thanks for that. One question we have for Kevin is, in a real estate market with rising values, can you quote unquote refinance at a larger credit line when values change?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we're certainly seeing that the last few years. Last year, about half, not quite half of the reverse mortgages that were taken out were refinancing an existing reverse mortgage. People taking advantage of the appreciation, people taking advantage of the lower rates, basically more borrowing power, more access to funds. So really another way to think about it too is you could roll another debt. So your house becomes responsible party to repay debt that you have from other places.
Great. And what is the largest transaction possible? I mean, I'm wondering, is the sky the limit, or is there a number there that?
Yeah, so we used to say, 50% of the value of the home. Now it's more like 40. So lenders will go up to 10 million. So you could borrow 4 million, but above that, it's case by case. So I've heard of transactions as high as 35 million value. Keep in mind, there's two sides of reverse mortgage. About 95% of the market is the FHA version, which people have heard about for 60 years. The proprietary is about 5%, and there's a handful of companies that do it. So I would say case by case as far as the largest transaction, but we know we can do 10 for sure.
Okay, wonderful. And question for Mike. What are the roles and issues of trusts in family office business succession plans? How do trusts play into the equation?
Trusts can play a very important role. For one thing, it provides for smoother transition of ownership in the event of someone's death, because you avoid having stock go through probate. One thing that I like to do is do bifurcation of ownership between voting and non-voting stock. The non-voting stock is getting the benefits of ownership, including distributions and dividends, but it doesn't get to vote, and it can be held over a broader range of beneficiaries within the family, while the voting shares might be held by fewer individuals or even another trust for that controlling group of beneficiaries, the ones who are actually going to be controlling the voting power. So I think trusts have a very valuable role to play.
Great. And I'm gonna jump back to Jason for a second and give sort of one of my own takes on it. One of the things I've been taught for a long time is, and this is part of my education and upbringing, but there's sort of in any coaching environment, there are sort of steps to things. First of all, you have to establish a relationship between the coach and the person being coached. And then that relationship leads you to trust. And once you have established trust, only then can you challenge that person. And I think probably we can all think of a situation where maybe we did not trust somebody and that person tried to challenge us. And it falls on deaf ears. But Jason, maybe I see you nodding your head. Maybe you can comment on that.
Tony, I love you for the wisdom of your question and the timing and the integration within what's relevant here. That ties into relationships between the leading gen and next gen and succession planning. And so when I coach my students, as an example, or mentor or coach in the leading gens as well, their parents or as partners or whatever, relationship is key, man. Besides achieving your tangible outcomes, right? Wealth preservation, wealth enhancement, risk mitigation, relationship. Without that relationship, why on earth would a boomer leading gen transfer his $1 trillion, $1 billion to the next gen that he doesn't like? They don't have a relationship. No one's going to do that. Okay, I prefer to do that giving pledge thing than to give most of my money to my kids, right? So at the end of the day, I'm sure all of us could empathize, could resonate, is really peace of mind. Everyone wants peace of mind, especially the leading gen. They want peace of mind. They want relationship. And that's part of the very, very powerful byproduct benefit that I am very conscious in delivering when I coach my next gen or whomever, right? Along the way, when I raise their 4S, their visionary story, the soft skills, the state of mind, the strategies, and make them execute them better and raise and elevate their pragmatic, emotional, social leadership intelligence, naturally the relationships within the families between family office executives or the principals, right, get better. How powerful is that? Because everyone wants a peace of mind, especially given the backdrop of such turbulence, the war, the craziness, China, the geopolitical, situations, right? I gave talks about that as well. So when I mentor one-on-one or group coaching with my audience or with my student, I'm very, very big on relationship. maybe it's my skill, right? I know how to build relations with people very quickly. When I meet a stranger, I know I could get them to open up to me very quickly, tell me secrets, right? There's a rapport, that relationship. Then you have the basis, they will listen to you. Then they trust you. They tell me secrets, then I know how to help them navigate and upgrade a skill or move in this direction, maybe make another pivot or redirect. So in a way, I'm like a soft skills mindset, a quarterback, right? So at the end of the day, help them create a more positive, more energizing, empathetic with integrity, better glue in a family.
Right.
It's so important.
Oh, excellent, wonderful. Well, I think we're bumping up on our end point here. This has been great. Lots of information flying back and forth, and we really appreciate everybody being on today and everybody who has listened in and watched. And I love your questions. Couldn't get to them all, but we will endeavor to address all of them at some point. Chantel, any closing thoughts?
I wanted to add that the